Namaste and welcome to the Asana Sana Yoga studio. Tonight on our Asana Sana strength class, we are going to do a core stability flow. So less dynamic movement and more focusing on holding ourselves in our proper alignment, those working our asanas to try to get as close to perfect as possible so that we can stabilize the core, which supports, a really important part of our body with keeping balance and keeping that posture nice and erect. It'll also help if you sit every day or if we're all working from home or doing school from home, if you're sitting at a desk. This will help just strengthen those core muscles so that you can help your posture ease back and rest their shoulders and your lower back, releasing tension. So as always, let's find ourselves seated here in easy seat and go ahead and crisscross your applesauce, then switch the leg. That way we can work on our alignment. Go ahead and move the flesh of your sits bones this time. I'm going to turn my music down. Flesh of your sits bones aside to get your tailbone properly supported here. And then we're just going to take one deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. Releasing any previous tensions that may have arose on the way here, letting all the stress out, finding us seated here on this mat together in our studio. Let's just take a moment to breathe and set some intentions for class. If you were here earlier before class, you will see me saging my yoga space and doing a couple of test asanas to get ready, but in that time, I like to set my own personal intentions. And in this class, I intend to lead you through a core stabilizing flow that you enjoy, that you find is helpful in your quest toward body wellness. So let's take a couple more moments here to set our personal intentions for class, and then we can get started on our warm-up. Excellent. Inhale those hands overhead, bringing the hands down in prayer. Let's clap 3 times, rubbing the hands together, bow to each other in prayer. Get ready to start our class. Let's find our hands resting gently on our knees here. You can flutter your eyes shut for the warm-up, or you can keep them open, whatever works for you here. Let's just start slowly rolling the neck back and forth, shaking our head no. Let's find ourselves coming back to stillness here in the middle as we nod our head yes. Slowly opening up the neck muscles here. No need to go fast. You can make them a little wider as you go along, but just opening up the neck. Excellent. Slowing ourselves down to stillness here. Let's begin to just circle the neck up to the right here. Letting each one get a little bit wider as we open up the neck. Slowing ourselves back to center. Let's rotate to the left, opposite direction, warming up those neck muscles. Letting them get a little wider with each one. Excellent. Bringing ourselves back here to stillness. Let's just inhale those arms out to a T. Let's exhale as we drop our right ear to our right shoulder. Using our hand, let's gently drop our left arm here to a 45-degree angle, using our right palm just as a weight on the top of the head here, stretching out that neck. Really breathe. Exhaling, pulling your neck just a little bit more with each exhale. Dropping your shoulder. Finding your left fingertips resting on the mat towards the end of the stretch. Excellent. Inhale, bringing that head back up to center. Let's turn our face to the right here. Exhale, dropping that chin towards our chest. Let's use our palm again as a weight, keeping our left arm at a 45-degree angle. Breathe into that rear neck stretch. This is really nice, especially if you hold your head in a certain position all day, every day, typing or reading or otherwise doing busy work. Excellent. Inhale, bringing that head back up to center, bringing our arms to a T. Let's exhale as we drop our head this time to the left, placing our left palm on top here as our left ear is at our left shoulder, bringing our right hand to 45 degrees. Breathing into that stretch. Release your shoulders. Make sure you're relaxed, pulling them down from your ears here. You'll find that you'll slowly begin to open up in your neck fascia. Just breathing. Excellent. After this last exhale, let's see our head coming back up to center as we turn to face the left, dropping the left chin, this time to the chest, using that left hand to open up that fascia in the back of the neck. Really exhaling into that stretch. After our last exhale, let's inhale, bringing our head up to center now. Releasing our hands and our shoulders. Let's just intertwine the fingers and gently nudge the head up and back on an exhale. Holding it for just a minute. Taking in an inhale. Dropping our head. Intertwining our fingers once more as we exhale. Dropping our chin to our chest here. Releasing the fascia of the upper shoulders. Whew, that feels nice. Let's inhale ourselves back up to center, shaking our hands out, finding our palms on our knees once more, either up to receive energy or down to keep yourself muted. We are warming up, so up to you. We start to roll our shoulders up and back. Slowing it down, let's reverse the situation, rolling back and down. Loosening up those shoulders here. Let's begin to alternate the shoulders forward. Breathing normally as we go. Slowing down, alternate backwards. Excellent. Resting the shoulders. Let's inhale, sending the arms up overhead. Let's exhale as we drop our right hand down the back. Let's go ahead and grab that elbow, sliding it over with an exhale as we begin to stretch out the various muscles of our arms and upper back here. With each exhale, allow your arm to pull over a little bit more to the left. Within your comfort, of course. No pain. Excellent. Let's take an inhale, bringing those arms back to a T. Let's send that right arm behind the back. Exhaling as we pull the arm here. Dropping that left ear to that left shoulder, dropping our left shoulder down as well. Breathing into the stretch. Excellent. Let's release that right arm with an exhale, wrapping it around the front of the body here. Just gently coax it along with the left palm, twisting the face to the right. Exhale, deepening that stretch. Let's take one final inhale in this pose as we exhale, releasing, rolling the shoulders back and down, sending the hands back to the lap. And let's stretch out the other shoulder by inhaling, sending the arms up into the air. Let's exhale, bringing the left hand down, using the right to stretch out those muscles. Allowing the arm to just come a little bit more to the right with each exhale. Let's exhale and release, sending the left arm behind the back, grasping our wrist as before, dropping our right ear to our right shoulder, breathing into the stretch. Take our last exhale in this pose as we release, sending the left arm to the front, twisting the face to the side, dropping the shoulders as we release into the stretch, opening up just a little bit more in the back with each exhale. Exhale and release the arms down. Let's bring our hands to our knees once more. Let's inhale, sending the chest up and open, filling the belly as we come into seated cow. Let's hold here for a moment as we allow our back to arch, opening up the spine. Let's exhale, release, curling into ourselves, dropping the chest, arching our back, coming into cat. Let's breathe into this 4 more times. Inhale, opening up, dropping the neck if in our practice. Exhale, coming in. 3 more. Warming the muscles up of the core. Let's do this last one, really making it count here. Excellent. Let's inhale, rolling the shoulders up and back, coming back to a full seated posture. Let's send the arms up into the air. Let's allow the right arm to rest gently in the lap here as we exhale, dropping our left hand over to the side. Let's turn our faces up to the sky here in revolved side bend. Let's hold this pose for 5 breaths, keeping our left hip on the mat and our left knee down. Dropping a little bit more with each exhale, 2 more breaths. And after our last exhale, let's inhale ourselves back up, switching the arms, allowing the left arm now to rest gently in the lap. Deep inhale as we drop our body over to the left-hand side, exhaling, turning our faces up to the sky. 5 breaths, deepening our pose with each exhale. Remember to keep your hip and your knee planted on the mat. We really want to get that side oblique stretch. 3 more to go. And after our last exhale, let's inhale, bring ourselves back to a T. Let's face, turning our torsos here to the right side, exhaling those arms down, coming into a seated twist. And with each exhale, let's see if we can get a little deeper. Let's hold here for 5 breaths. Take our last inhale as we inhale our arms up to the center, twisting our bodies over with an exhale, coming into that seated side twist to the left. Let's hold here for 5. I gotta say, I'm really glad that I put on the atomizer today. It smells lovely with a little bit of lavender and peppermint oil, both honoring Aries season and the heart chakra. You can see it's green light for the heart chakra with a little bit of rose quartz on top. Let's take our last inhale, bringing those arms up to center here. Let's exhale, bending our hands down into prayer pose here. As you said, I like to prepare my yoga space, and I heavily encourage you all to do so the same. It's nice, even though it's a class that's more power focused, dynamic mobility, it is nice to remember this is a sacred practice and a wellness practice. So setting it up to make yourself comfortable is always fun as well. Can't wait to get some plans. So let's find ourselves here at the top of the mat so we can get started on our flow. Before we get started in our Surya Namaskars or our sun salutations A and B, let's talk a little bit about alignment here. As always, let's find our feet hip width apart. You can go ahead and eyeball it with your hands or eyeball it with your fist between your feet. Let's raise those toes up here as we lean forward, just till we feel like we're going to fall, and then allow ourselves to relax, finding our natural settling place here on our heels, maybe moving the hips around a little bit to find where you're at. Let's drop those toes, keeping our feet and our pitch of our body right centered over those heels. Loosen. Let's move on up to those knees, loosening those up so we're not locking our knees out. We want to keep them nice and loose. Make sure you're not knocking knees by actively spinning the muscles of your quadriceps out from your thigh. So you're just going to, boop, it's a little, this will activate our pelvis, keeping in that neutral alignment. You want to tuck your hips just a little bit, but not too much. You don't want to send it out. So keep your knees nice and out. Moving up from there, we have that our pelvis at our neutral pelvic tilt. Remember, our pelvis is a bowl, so you do want to keep it from spilling. Oh my goodness, I'm cracking myself up today. Let's roll our shoulders up and back, and that sends our chest a little forward, but to keep ourselves from flaring out, let's bring those ribs in closer by centering them directly over the tops of our hip bones here. Keeping our shoulders up and down away from our ears, let's send our shoulder blades down our back, roll our head up, keeping the ears parallel over the shoulders and our chin parallel to the floor as well. This keeps our head in a neutral alignment, almost as if we were laying down with our occipital bone touching the mat. And then if we were in tabletop, you want to gaze at the top of the mat, same alignment cues. All right, so we are here at the top of the mat. Let's take a great big inhale as we reach our bodies up and back. As I just told you about alignment, we're kind of undoing it a little bit here. Taking a deep inhale, let's exhale as we bend forward into our forward fold, holding here for just a moment. Bending the knees if reaching the floor is not your jam on the first go. That's why we keep our knees nice and soft. Let's inhale to a halfway fold. Exhale, place the hands down on the mat. Let's take a step back, coming into plank pose. You may modify it by dropping the knees if that is your jam today. Let's inhale, exhale our vinyasa down as we come on up into, let's say, a cobra pose or a seal pose here. This is more of a seal pose, keeping those legs on the mat. Let's curl our toes here as we exhale, sending those hips up into the sky, into our downward dog. Walk out those feet here just for a little bit as we inhale, slowing ourselves down. Let's send that right leg up into the air. Exhaling, bringing it to the front of the mat, dropping it between the hands. Let's drop that knee. Exhale, coming up, drop that left knee. Exhale, coming up into our crescent pose. Warm up the hips just a little bit here with a little bit of movement as we inhale, straightening out that front leg, bringing the hands to the mat, curling that left leg, sending the right foot back. Let's exhale, coming back down on the mat. Inhale, seal pose. Let's curl those back toes as we exhale, sending our hips up into the air, coming into a downward dog. Once again, let's walk out those legs again, opening up those calves, opening up the hamstrings, slowing ourselves down to stillness as we inhale, sending that left foot this time up into the sky, exhaling, bringing it to the front, dropping that right knee into a low lunge as we exhale, coming up into our low crescent lunge. Let's activate those hip muscles here, stretching out the psoas of the right leg as we inhale, bringing the hands back to the mat, curling that back right toe. Exhale that leg straight. Step the left foot back. Exhale yourselves down. Inhale yourself back up to seal pose. Let's curl those toes as we exhale, sending our hips up into the sky. No walking this time. Let's bend those knees just slightly as we inhale, hop, step, or jump the feet to the top of the mat. Exhale, coming up to halfway forward fold. Inhale, release yourself all the way back down again. Let's inhale, exhaling ourselves as we come down into prayer pose. Excellent. Let's keep that momentum going here, speeding up just a touch. Or let's keep that momentum going here. We'll speed up in a minute. Inhale, let's exhale as we dive ourselves forward here into our forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back. Exhale, let's place those hands flat on the mat as we take a step back, coming into our plank pose. Inhale, exhale your way down. Let's inhale. So this time, let's see if we can come up into our downward dog here. Let's curl those toes as we exhale, sending the hips up into the sky. Let's inhale, sending that right foot up, exhaling it to the mat, dropping the left leg, coming into that low crescent pose with an exhale. Activate that muscle here again once more as we inhale, cartwheeling our hands down to the mat. Let's curl that back toe, stepping back into our plank. Exhale, inhale up into your downward dog. Inhale, sending those hips up to the sky as we exhale into our downward dog. Let's send that left leg up into the sky. Exhaling as we drop the right knee and the left foot in between the hands, right knee down, coming into our crescent lunge. Let's inhale as we open up those legs, cartwheeling those hands down to the mat. Straighten that back right leg. Exhale, coming down to the mat. Inhale, coming up to a downward dog. Let's exhale, sending those hips up to the sky, uncurling those toes. Let's bend those knees slightly as we take a hop, skip, or jump to the top of the mat once more. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, all the way down. Let's hold here for a moment, opening up those hips. Feels nice. Let's inhale as we send our arms up to the sky. Exhaling, coming into prayer pose. All right, that feels like a good warm-up. Let's get that going a little bit faster as this is a more stable flow. So let's get that blood pumping just a little bit, making sure we send enough energy through the body to get our core really stable by the end of this class. Here we are. Let's inhale, sending our hands up to the sky. Exhale. This time, let's come to a chair as we jut ourselves forward, coming to that forward fold. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, hands down on the mat. Take a step back. Inhale, exhale your way down, and inhale up to your upper dog. Exhale, sending those hips up to the sky. Let's send the right foot up to the sky, placing it between the hands. Let's drop the foot coming up into a warrior two. From this warrior two, let's cartwheel ourselves back down to the mat here, stepping back to our plank. Exhale as you come down, inhale as you come up. Let's exhale as we send our hips up into the sky. This time the left leg first, up, placing it between the hands. Drop the right foot. Let's Peter Townsend our way into our warrior two. From here, inhale, cartwheeling those hands down, coming the opposite direction. Exhaling down up into an upward dog. Let's exhale, coming into our downward dog. Inhale, taking a deep, deep inhale. Hop, skip, or jump the feet to the top of the mat. Halfway exhale, or halfway inhale, all the way down, exhale. Inhale, sitting the hands up, coming to prayer pose. Well, that was fun. Let's find ourselves now moving on to our flow from our warm-up, because I am ready to go, warmed up. Find ourselves here in tabletop. So tabletop cues are just going to be the same as when we did when we were standing. Keep those knees, shoulder or hip width apart. Let's keep our leg here parallel to the back of the mat. So none of this, none of that, parallel. You can curl your toes, uncurl your toes, whatever's comfortable for you. Let's keep our wrist directly located underneath our shoulders and spiral out our elbows so that the inside of our elbow is facing forward. Grip the mat with the fingertips, spreading the palms wide, keeping the shoulders down from the ears and gazing at the top of the mat. Let's inhale as we slowly begin to drop our belly, filling up, rolling our head back, sending our pelvis up to the sky, coming into cow pose. Let's curl back, exhaling, arching that back, dropping our head, letting it loose, holding here for just a moment. Cat pose. Let's breathe here for a moment. We don't really hold this pose too much. It's a nice opener here. Let's inhale, going back the opposite direction, coming back into our cow pose here, making sure our shoulders are down from our hips. Hold this pose here for a moment. Open up your hips, wave them around like a cow, you know? Maybe move your shoulders a little bit. Let your cowbell ring. Let's slow ourselves down as we exhale, coming once more into cat, letting our head dangle, taking that moment for that rest. Excellent. Let's activate this, coming a little faster. Inhale, coming into cow. Exhale, coming into cat. Let's do this cycle here for 5 breaths on your own accord. 3 more breaths. Let's take this last one. Exhale, really getting all the air out, dropping that head, moving it around just a little bit. Let's find ourselves curling up slowly, allowing your head to be the last one up. Hands up overhead, down into prayer. So we hold here for a moment. We're going to come into a camel pose here. You have options for your camel pose. You may use your hands. You may grab the back of your ankles. However, you may drop your hands and just hold them out like this. However you'd like to come into your camel pose. But let's inhale, sending our hands up. Exhaling, swooping as we arch our back, coming down into our camel pose of choice. I'm going to go ahead and grab my ankles, dropping my head, opening my chest, going along today's heart opening theme with core stability. Breathe into this pose, holding here for 5 breaths. And from your camel pose of choice, let's slowly allow your body to come seated on your feet as you roll your spine and your head coming forward last. Releasing back to Shavasana into our hero's pose. Breathing here for a moment. Let's find ourselves coming to seated on the mat, keeping our feet, soles touching. Let's take an inhale as we send our arms up, exhaling, rolling down slowly to the mat. Let's drop our arms beside us on the mat here. Bringing our feet a little closer to our bottoms, we're going to come into our bridge pose. Keeping the knees hip width apart. There might be some space in between your knees. That's fine. You want to keep your toes pointed forward, but not allow your knees to go over your toes. So place your upper body on the mat, keeping the occipital bone of your head supported. Let's inhale slowly, curling your pelvis, 1 vertebra at a time off the mat here. Externally rotating those thighs, keeping yourself engaged. You may place a block underneath for support, but as this is a core stability class, keep your hips up, close your ribs, holding your core muscles tight here as we come into our bridge. Holding here for 5 breaths. If you'd like to extend your pose by clasping your arms underneath, you may go right ahead. Keep holding here and don't let your hips drop. We have 4 more breaths. Make sure you're squeezing your glutes. That helps. Send the energy out through the knees. We have 2 more breaths in this pose. Don't forget to breathe. Take our last inhale as we unclasp our hands if you have them that way. Exhale, slowly roll yourselves down. And one by one, coming down to the mat, your bottom being the last thing to touch. Excellent, excellent. Here we are in our pose. Relaxing here. Let's send our legs out, extended below us here. Let's come up onto our forearms, coming into our reverse plank, keeping our feet together. You may hold your feet up for stability or keep your feet on the mat. But let's inhale, sending ourselves up into our reverse plank. Dropping the head, keep your glutes tight, hold your core tight, keep breathing. We're going to hold here for 5 breaths. If you like, you may modify by coming into reverse tabletop, but I love a good plank. 3 more breaths. Keeping the shoulders down from the ears. Hold yourself tight, keep your glutes squeezed. We have 2 more breaths. Take one final inhale as we exhale, releasing, bringing our bottoms back down to the mat. Bringing our arms up as we exhale, coming forward, caterpillar pose. Let's just grab our ankles here for a moment, keeping our feet flexed, our legs engaged, pulling from the hip here. Breathing in our caterpillar pose. Activating all of those wonderful core muscles here, including the ones in the back. Excellent. Let's inhale, releasing this pose. Let's find ourselves coming back into tabletop as we get into our tiger pose next. I love the tiger pose as it is a very secretive core pose. From the looks of it, you're just holding yourselves, kind of catty corner, but it really does engage all of the core muscles. So we're going to come into our tiger pose here on the right. Just inhale, sending that right leg out, sending the left leg out, or the left arm out, finding our balance here. Now you may hold your tiger pose if this is the pose you'd like to hold for the night. If not, let's curl that knee up, send the left hand to the back, finding the ankle, flexing the foot, pulling the, kicking the foot into the hand. Let's inhale as we tighten our core. Exhale, extending into tiger pose. Let's hold here for 5 breaths. Excellent. Holding here. 2 more breaths. Keep your balance. Keep your legs up. You want to keep yourself parallel as if you're in an active kind of a tabletop here. 2 more breaths. It is a challenging pose. It's all right if you move. We are stabilizing our core. Let's take a last inhale as we exhale, releasing the pose. Coming down to the mat. Let's drop ourselves here into this child's pose for just a moment. Resting our core. It doesn't seem like much now, but tomorrow you will be sore. I can promise you that. Excellent. Let's inhale, coming back into our tabletop pose, and let's perform it on the other side. Let's exhale, sending that left leg out, nice and straight. Inhale your right hand out. Let's find our stable table. If you'd like to stay here in our tiger pose, go right ahead. If not, let's curl that left leg up, flexing the foot, sending the right back, finding your ankle here. Let's inhale. And exhale as we engage that core, coming into our tiger pose, flexing that foot. I find gazing at the top of the mat helps with stability. Holding here for 5 breaths. Body check. Are we squeezing the glutes? Keeping our shoulders from our ears, tightening those core muscles. Breathing. 3 more breaths. Let's take our last inhale here as we exhale, releasing the hand, releasing the arm, coming down slowly. Finding ourselves once more in that child's pose for just a moment. Briefly resting our core here. Coming into the end of our flow. I would say hard part's over, but we still have some side planks, so that would be lying. So let's inhale, sending ourselves back into tabletop. Let's curl those toes. Exhale, coming into our downward dog here. Let's take our left foot, placing it kind of in the center here. As we find our balance, let's slowly inhale that right foot, up into the sky. We're going to hold here for 5 breaths, using our core to stabilize ourselves so we can keep balanced here in this pose. Breathing, sending the energy through the right foot. You need to go ahead and bend the left knee to keep your balance. And remember, keep your hips square to the mat here by imagining that your hip points are pointing to the mat or that there's a marble at the top of your thighs. Drop your chest, sending your chest to the mat, not your back, so we're not arching the back, but stretching from the arms here. 2 more breaths, keeping the shoulders away from the ears. Let's take 1 more breath. And with that exhale, slowly lower the leg to the mat as we come forward into a plank. Now we're going to slide into a side plank here. You can go ahead and place the knee down on the mat today, or you can fully extend to that side plank. But we're just going to inhale, sending that left arm to the sky. Exhaling, finding our balance here in our side plank. Engage the core muscles to keep your body still. Holding your side plank, breathing through. Two more breaths. Let's take an inhale. And as we exhale, let's release, coming back into our downward dog. I'm just going to rotate around for your benefit so that I can keep an eye on you guys while we go through our poses here, but you can stay however you are. I'm finding myself in my downward dog here. Let's inhale this time, sending that right foot to the middle, exhaling the left leg up to the sky. Remember to keep those hips square to the mat, bending your knee if you need to, dropping the chest down to the mat, pushing from the heels of your hands, spreading your fingertips wide. Let's hold here for 5 breaths, keeping that left foot engaged by flexing it, pointing the toes to the mat, or pointing them up to the sky. Breathe in deep. Keep that core tight. Sending your chest down to the mat or to your thigh here. We have 3 more breaths. Keep your shoulders from your ears. You got this, guys. Let's take a last inhale in this pose as we exhale, bringing ourselves forward as we lower our foot down to the mat, coming into that plank. Let's drop that knee. Inhale, sending the right arm this time up into the sky. Exhaling, coming into that side plank. Let's make sure our wrist is underneath our shoulder here. Keep our core muscles tight. Twisting up to the ceiling if within your practice, but keep your core muscles tight and in here in this side plank. 5 breaths. Don't forget to breathe. Shoulders down from the ear, 2 more breaths. Let's exhale, releasing down. We're going to come into our plank here before we cool down. So you may extend your plank on your knees or maybe one knee. I'm going to come up here into a plank. Keep your core tight and your glutes tight. Engage that body, holding ourselves nice and tight. Let's hold here for 5 breaths. Keep your core tight. It'll help. Don't drop your hips. Keep yourself nice and up. 3 more breaths. Gazing at the top of the mat, we have 2 more breaths. And after our last exhale, let's slowly lower ourselves down to the mat. Excellent. Go as slow as you can. Release. Oh my goodness. So we're finding ourselves here in this pose. Let's go ahead and bring our hands palm over palm on the mat. Take an inhale. Let's exhale, releasing our head down, coming into Crocodile Pose. Let's keep our lower body engaged as we externally rotate our thighs here. Just kind of pretend like you're spinning them out. Keeping your hips squared on the mat here. Heels touching if possible. My heels don't touch, so it's okay if yours don't either. Excellent. Let's inhale. Pushing ourselves up. Let's expand our knees to the width of the mat, touching the toes if you'd like. Exhale, coming down into an extended child's pose. And as this is the start of our cool down, if you do have any blocks or bricks you'd like to use or have been using, you can go ahead and use that to support your head here. Let's hold this pose for 5 breaths. Let's take our last inhale. And as we exhale, let's walk our arms over here to the right, coming into extended child's pose to the right, stretching out that that left oblique, excuse me. Breathing into that left side body, each exhale. Let's take our last inhale as we walk our body over to the left this time, stretching out that right oblique, coming into the extended child's pose. Keep the hips down as much as you can. Relax that back. It's really about stretching out the side of the body. Excellent. Let's release after that last exhale, finding ourselves coming into kneeled, a wide hero's pose, or saddle, if you will. Holding here for just a moment. Taking a moment to recenter and regroup, thanking our body for the flow that we just went through. Excellent. Let's find ourselves coming back to laying on the mat here. This time we're going to find ourselves on our forearms, on our backs. As we drop here, we're going to extend into our fish pose. You may keep your feet bent if you'd like, or you can fully extend into a fish pose by pushing up on your heels. But let's just take an inhale, dropping the shoulders, drop the head back here. Opening up the chest, breathing into this fish pose. Let's keep the shoulders down from the ears, relaxing. Let's inhale as we drop our chest, bringing our head back up as before. Let's find ourselves coming up under our mat here, extending into our caterpillar pose. Just taking the time to wind our core muscles down, as we did use them a lot today. If you have a brick, you may go ahead and use that to rest your head on. If not, you can just pull your ankles forward here as we inhale, exhaling into our pose, popping the knees if needed. Just holding ourselves in our caterpillar pose. Really stretching out that lower back. As you want to pull from the lower back, that's why popping the knees is important. Pulling from the lower back and not the hunched shoulders. Keeping your shoulders down from your ears, dropping your elbows. Let's take our last inhale, and as we exhale, let's use our hips to slowly pull us up, tightening the core muscles, engaging the core, coming up back into our caterpillar pose. Let's find ourselves broadside on the mat here as we open to a side straddle or a straddle pose. If you have a brick, go ahead and use it. If not, just use your hands. Let's inhale our hands up. As we exhale, we're going to drop ourselves forward here, coming into our straddle pose, forward fold. And as you can see, I'm not very flexible, so I'm going to pop my knees, resting my head here on my little 2-block mock-up, grabbing my ankles, breathing into this pose here, dropping the shoulders from the ears, pulling out the flesh of the sits bones if necessary. I like this little impromptu yin here at the end. It's really nice to show your core some love after tightening everything up. Remember to bend from the hips here, feeling that stretch there in your piriformis, your thighs and joints. Keep holding here for 2 more breaths. Inhale, sending ourselves back up here to center, grabbing that block. Exhale as we drop our knees. If you've been popped, coming into head to knee on the right side, grabbing that ankle. If you have a block, use the block. If not, don't worry about it. We're just going to pull from the waist, keeping this left leg engaged, dropping the shoulders, not arching the back, helping to release the core there. Let's inhale the hands up, turning this time to the side, seeing head to knee here, using the block if you have one, keeping that right leg engaged. Drop those shoulders as we inhale, come back up to center. Exhale, let's remove the block this time and find ourselves coming into a revolved head to knee. So inhale those hands up to the air. Let's exhale, bring that right hand to the side, just as before, but this time in our straddle fold. Exhale, coming into that bend here, sending our face up to the side. Inhale, and as you exhale, see if you can drop just a little bit. Remember, you can pop your knees. That's definitely an option here. And stretch out those obliques one last time. Keep those legs engaged as we inhale, switching our arms around, grabbing the left hip or the right hip with the left hand, exhaling, dropping over to the left side here, keeping our legs engaged, breathing into the obliques. Dropping our shoulders from our ears as well. After our last exhale, let's inhale, coming back up here. Finding our legs into Baddha Konasana. Let's come into one last core releasing pose. As you come into Supta Baddha Konasana or supported butterfly or cobbler pose. If you have a brick, go ahead and use it. If not, you can just lay back with your legs in butterfly or find yourselves on your forearms. But just place your brick if you have one, or pillow even, or a rolled up blanket. That works too. Right here, or rolled up mat if you have another. Right here at the base of your spine. Let's inhale those arms up as we gently allow ourselves to release. You might need to hold it here depending what you got behind you. Draping yourself over the block, resting your hands to the side and finding yourself, if you felt a little tension here in the hips as we open up that core, you can release your feet a little bit wider. So inhale, resting here gently, allowing our core muscles to relax. Let's take our last exhale in this pose. Let's find ourselves slowly rolling back up, coming into seated either from forearms or from resting on a block, coming back into our butterfly pose. Let's remove our block here. Extend our legs out one last time. And exhale as we find ourselves laying completely down on our mat. Let's inhale the knees up to the chest, keeping the legs parallel. Let's exhale as we drop the knees to the left, but stacking out our legs, stacking our left foot onto our right knee, coming into stag leg here. Stretching out the hips. Release your shoulders, release your jaw, coming into this restful pose. Inhale those knees up to center as we exhale. Then it's time dropping over to the right side, bringing the right foot onto the left knee, coming into stag leg to the right. And after our last exhale, let's inhale those knees up, taking a final stretch as necessary, needing to go. Relaxing the body, let's exhale, releasing the legs and the arms to the side as we come into our Shavasana. Go ahead and keep the legs wide here, making sure your lower back is found on the mat. Take a deep inhale through the nose, exhale through the mouth as you flutter your eyes shut. Taking this final resting pose. Finally loosening the tension in the abdomen. Just feeling heavy as we sink into the mat for this quiet meditation. And before we come up from our Shavasana this evening, I'd like to read for you a passage from the Daily Stoic. And this month's topic was on awareness, and as today is the 31st of March, we're going to finish up this topic of awareness with a reading entitled, "You are a product of your training." It reads, "Chasing what can't be done is madness. but the base person is unable to do anything else. Marcus Aurelius. A dog that is allowed to chase cars will chase cars. A child who is never given any boundaries will become spoiled. An investor without discipline is not an investor. He's a gambler. A mind that isn't in control of itself, that doesn't understand its power to regulate itself, will be jerked around by external events and unquestioned impulses. That can't be how you'd like tomorrow to go. So you must be aware of that. You must put in place training and habits now to replace ignorance and ill discipline. Only then will you begin to behave and act differently. Only then will you stop seeking the impossible, the short-sighted, and the unnecessary. And with that, I would like for you to invite a little bit of movement into your body by wiggling your fingers and wiggling your toes. Start to roll your shoulders and your legs. Feel your body coming back to life. Stretch your arms up overhead. Stretch your legs in any way that you see fit, allowing yourself to come back into view. And if it is within your practice, keep your eyes closed as you roll to one side and gently cradle your head into the bicep there in this gentle embryonic pose. Let's hold here for a moment, inhaling as we fill our belly, holding that breath for just a second, exhaling through the mouth, allowing ourselves to come into gentle awareness of our surroundings. Keeping your eyes closed if you can, go ahead and push yourself up into seated, inhaling those arms up overhead. Let's exhale, bringing the hands down into prayer pose, fluttering the eyes open here, joining me in prayer pose and seated. Thank you for joining me in class this evening. I had such a blast with you all, as I always do. I hope that you find your core a little bit more stable than it was before we started class, and tomorrow find yourselves feeling the heat of our movements from today. As always, I would like to invite you to come back to our Asana Sana Strength class every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Pacific time. I will be here and seeing you there. I would like to send you off this evening by saying, be the light that you wish to see in the world, see the light that you wish to see in the world, because everybody's got a little light under the sun. Have a good evening, everybody. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Excellent. If you have any questions, I'll see you guys in the cool down room. Have a good night, guys.